Hello everyone, my name's Bryhn, and I've been asked by quite a few people to provide sound clips or something online with my flutes, and so I thought I would make a quick video and introduce you to some of the flutes that I make. This is what they look like when I've got the kit formed and it's ready for whittling. And then this is one of my starter flutes, $50. My flutes are actually made with hand measurements. They were originally a pipe organ pipe, and then a longshoreman went through the tribes and he gave them the ability to make their own flutes with tuners. Before that they didn't have tuners. And he gave them certain measurements that they needed to use to make different pitches and fundamentals. Here's the first measurement to the true hole. Second measurement is a hand including the thumb to the first finger hole, then a thumb width all the way up, and then if you did it right, it's a hand width including the thumb on to the end. Simple. Of course, there's some variation here because of wood and porosity and other things. So when you start to play my flutes, you want to try to break that thing loose, make sure it's floating. I use a clear coat that's almost like polyurethane, but it's actually called salad bowl finish. It's non-toxic, it's FDA approved, it's non-carcinogenic. This is the way they sound, pretty much. So that's the least of my offerings. I don't really try to sand it real good or anything, but it does have 5 coats of clear coat on it, and that should last the lifetime of the flute. Those are cedar. I also use cherry. They make very nice flutes. I have no idea how this sounds. This is a butterfly flute. Every flute has its own voice. I make these completely by hand. They are whittled. Then I sand them and sand them and sand them. Before I do this, I wanted to show you a medicine flute. This is a tribal fire medicine flute. It's got a very good design on it. I make, I think, 6 different medicine flutes. This is a medicine flute. This is a medicine flute. The slope is slightly different than my regular flutes to compensate for the porosity of the black walnut. But other than that, it's pretty much a standard design, has the same measurements on it and such. And this is how black walnut sounds. Well, it just gives you a little introduction there. My starter flutes don't come with a wall hanger. They're priced pretty close to what I can sell them for, starting at $50, going up to about $65. And as you can see, I've got a lot of different flutes here. This is an example of an extended flute. Has a nice resonator on the end. Makes it sound a little bit better. resonator tighter sound on the end. It actually helps it quite a bit. This is an example of one of my shortened flutes. This is made shorter. The normal ones are out here, and if a person has a little bit of a challenge, these holes are just a little bit tighter. This is a sharp G, by the way. I do make them in sharp F also. It just doesn't come back as far. So this is about the smallest flute I make, and it's all designed with the idea of rotating the hand inward to bring it closer to your mouth. And this is the way they sound. I just finished this one not too long ago. So that's what a G sharp sounds like. That is a hardwood flute. I did want to make starter flutes so that people would be able to go ahead and start out with a very respectably nice flute that they could play and they could learn on, and then if they like it, they can go to something a little bit better. This is another extended flute. This is just extended. It's not hyper extended. It has a nice bird on it. This bird was cut out with a scroll saw, and then I actually went in and I laid the holes in with my poker. Same thing I make the holes and the tuner with. I use all wood evaporation with that. That's how I also scribe my flutes, with wood evaporation. And then afterwards I go in with a very hot knife and I cut it all out. There's actually no black paint on these birds. None of the birds that I have black paint on them. That's all char. And it takes a lot of while for the paint to seal the char, but once it's sealed, now the thing is heat treated, and it should last for the life of the flute without any trouble at all. I'm hitting that last hole kind of hard because that is the hardest hole on the flute to make, and I think I do a pretty good job at it. I hope you think so too. Here's a different kind of flute. This is a closed end flute. No hole on there. It's completely controlled by the sound holes on the side. And because of that, it gives me the ability to say how much air I'm going to let the flute use. Even though there's a 3/4 inch bore on the inside, this allows me to regulate how much air the tuner lets through. And that can lead to some pretty good results. For one thing, if you set the bird just right, too close, the closer it gets to the hole, the better the sound frequency, but you'll overblow the last hole real easy. The farther back, it gets airy, so you have to find that sweet spot in the middle. Because of this, you can come closer and get better frequency. Every now and then a flute I make actually blossoms when you blow into it a little bit harder. Not all flutes. I don't know if this one does or not. We'll give it a go. There, it overblew a little bit. I'll go back just a little bit. So I was blowing pretty hard there. So I was trying to overblow it a little bit. You can see I try to work these flutes. I try to work them at least as hard as you would if you have it. So here's another example of a closed-end flute right here. No hole in the end. Has a real nice look to it. Yes, I do make these as a regular thing, but I usually only have about one of them online at a time. Sometimes you got to straighten these feathers out. You can always tell when it's right with these leather strips hanging down. They're not twisted. You can tell it's going the right way that way. So let's try this one. I like the closed end. I use that a lot in concerts. The reason I say that I like flutes like this in concert, I mean it's a nice flute, but you know, it's one thing when you're playing a flute that sounds real good. Here's how this one sounds. But then you hold this out to the crowd and you say, you know what makes a totally incredible flute seem really, really more incredible and totally awesome? It's when you turn it to the crowd and you say, there's no hole on the end of this flute. I think my fondest memory was giving a concert to about 200 people at the Mohican Lodge, and they were all sitting around in dinner around dinner tables, and I presented that to them, and I heard 200 people go, wow, at the same time. Now that's a memory I'll take with me forever. So, you know, in my opinion, if you're going to get a flute, get one that stands out in a crowd. Something like this is going to command everybody's attention when you walk out in front of them, and when it has a little adder like that on the end, hey, know your flute maker. Know you can trust them to make the right thing for you, because there's a lot of them out there that'll make a flute and you'll hit the hole and you go, where did that sound come from? Did it really belong on there? Okay, I have just another minute or two left, so let's see. I'll pull one down I hadn't played before. Here's one of my least expensive black walnut flutes. So this one's going for about $100. You can find me on eBay at Bryhn 01. That's RBRYHN 01. Just go to eBay and type that in the search bar, and everything I have will come right up for you. Then be sure when you go to eBay, look at the pictures. I try to really do justice to what the art that I give to these flutes. And Becky will even put a wrap on them every now and then, just as a way of saying thank you for buying this flute. Sometimes these cost a lot more with the flute, but I don't include them in the price. So that's pretty much it, folks. If you want to talk to me about it or something, you can always message me through eBay. You can always find me under that moniker, Bryhn 01, RBRYHN 01 at eBay. Here's the way this one sounds. Thank you, folks. Thank you for your time.